as we transition over, and you guys are finishing up, any last questions for Trent, anything else we want to talk about?
So I just want to say, I appreciate the vulnerability and things that you said today. I was in your other session as well, and it's really valuable. It's like really. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It seems like you hold yourself accountable and you don't need it. But you said like the issue that you think most agents don't do is like knowing what to do and holding themselves to it. Like, do you guys have team accountability or where's the accountability at?
That's one thing, like, we honestly don't have a lot of a team accountability, and I think that's because, like, for Michelle, myself, and John, like, we know, like, we're so in tune with what our goals are for GCI and transactions. And we know how to go about achieving those, and how we achieve them is so different. And I'm sure I'm sure everybody that comes in this office knows that specifically when they even see how I run my business. You know, me and Michelle run things pretty similarly, but John couldn't be more different from me. Like, and I always say, I don't say that in a bad way, like, I admire, you know, how John does, cause I mean, the guy does 50 transactions a year and he'll be in this office, you know, 3 hours a week. Like, you know, he works on his business outside of the office through so many social events and networking and things like that, where, you know, we are phone people. So, but, you know, with Dalton, like, Dalton came on last year. Dalton, it was pretty easy with Dalton because Dalton is it's hard to find somebody who's 24 that has as much self-discipline and accountability as him. So, like, we don't really have, I mean, I talk to Dalton every day on the phone, like, even Saturdays and Sundays, I call him and ask him what he's doing. You know, and it's not like, I wanna micromanage you, it's just, hey, I'm here for you, I care about you. And then I'll tell him what I'm doing as like, and just so he knows, like, I don't take days off. Like, yeah, I hope this motivates you, and it's like, the hardest working 24-year-old I've ever met.
I think too, we don't hold each other accountable because we all have our individual goals and we have our team goals. We trust that you set them for a reason. And Dalton he knows what he wants, John knows what he wants, and me, Sean. It's up to you to do it. We're gonna support each other, we challenge each other, and then most of all, we celebrate each other. Every closing, every lead, every hard one, every easy one. You know, we're checking in with each other all the time, constantly. So it's not that we're not holding each other accountable, it's just we're all working together, and I know what his goals are, I know what his goals are. I'm gonna help you get there, and he's gonna help me get there. Dalton helps me get to my goals, he helps me get to mine. It's just, it's how we communicate with each other, and just support each other.
And we kind of do like the cliche sales thing, like, we have a whiteboard in our office where we write down all of our settlements, but it's for two reasons: checks and balances on, I know what's going on, but at the same time, like, if I see she puts up two transactions, and I'm sitting there like, I have to go sell something. Like, I have to go find business and get something under contract today, because my mom is kicking my butt. And I just don't know.
Competition is good.
Yeah.
Competition.
Yeah. Do you regret not lowering your commission on that one?
No.
We
I mean, for a day I did, but at the end of the day, I sat there and I thought to myself, you know, I had a face-to-face meeting with the guy, I was in his house, I listened to the things he said, and he was probably gonna be an egotistical pain in my butt.
But on the other side of that too, is had he done that community, he would have told his friend and his friend, and then now the word is out that he'll lower his commission.
But that's in literally the neighborhood I live in.
Oh, yeah. Great point.
Read the room, true, you gotta read the room.
Great point. Any other questions? If you haven't yet scanned the QR code and just given us a quick survey, please do that. We would greatly appreciate it.
We have to download them on the app.
No, you don't. It did not work.
Yeah, it said I downloaded the app.
The little sign. The little sign.
that one is not.
All right. Anything else? Any final parting words, Trent?
Don't be afraid to invest in, buying data. Just saying.
That's fair. That's fair, right? I mean, I respect that. I respect that. All right,
I recommend starting your day with data guides.
I got,
Don't make you partially
I got,
motivated, partially angry.
I got it. All right, up next, we have Jason. First of all, thank you, Trent. Thank you. Next up, we have Jason. Give me 1 second to transition the room here and get Jason started. Jason, come on in.
Yeah, I heard that, like, when it's doing, like, pre-game, I know, I thought that that's really motivating, like, people genuinely will like put that on for 10 minutes and then actually do work, so I feel like.
What's your new go to?
Depends on the day. I don't know. Depends on the day. It's all open until 4:30, so.
What do you think?
4:30 is a
So
great.
Planet Fitness doesn't open until 5, so if I want to go before 5, I'll go to, Crunch
I go to Crunch.
or Art.
What Crunch do you
Yeah,
go to?
one question.
Okay, cool.
That one open at 4:30.
You want to or you want me to?
Art
You got it.
opens at 4.
Hey,
Art is really nice.
All right, everybody, Jason with us, and he is going to do a great presentation, I'm sure, on, new construction. Jason, do you need anything else from me to get started?
No.
There we go.
That's good. I saw Trent sitting, I'm very comfortable. I'm Jayson Quon. I've been with Burbs for about 8 years now. We are, started off as a small family-owned business builder, 1973. We have 3 different regions here, so we're in our South Central region communities, going from York, even down to Waynesboro, Harrisburg, West Shore area. I've been always at communities, selling it, having a model home, different lots, whether it's townhomes, single family homes. And we've recently started growing more of our on your land department. So for you folks who have clients that own land, raw land, I'm not sure where to start. Or even clients that are just interested that don't own land yet, that you have to get. So I'm fairly new to this position, to be honest. It's been about a few months now. I've also built with Burbs on your land as well, about 6 years ago. And it's very involved. There's a lot of details, a lot of steps, a lot of responsibilities as the customer, as the landowner. We all know as a buyer, right, it's a very stressful decision to make to buy a home, and it's a little more, it can be a little more stressful to take this step of buying raw land and then building new. To be completely transparent with you folks, there was a couple times in the process that I thought about backing out. Is this the right build for me? Is this the right decision? There's a lot of factors that can affect the build. That if you're not doing your due diligence and really digging in to the process and looking into each lot and what's involved, the last thing you want is surprises. And even at that, you can think you're prepared as much as possible, and you don't really know what's under the ground until you're under contract and you close on your construction loan and you start digging and you get rocked, right? So we try to factor in all those things, for the unknowns too as well. So diving in, what things to account for, of course, the land, right? The lot development costs, preparing the lot, utilities, excavation, clearing trees, all that's involved just to start building the home, and then the home itself. So the first thing is, I'm sure you folks do this with your clients, is establishing a budget. And so with this type of build, a construction loan would be needed. With a construction loan, there's different types of construction loans where you have a construction loan closed, where you're getting the budget of, you have your final numbers of the home itself and lot development costs. And then once construction is complete, then you're rolling it in, or they call it a modification, into a conventional loan. Then it's your typical 30-year, 20-year, 15. There's also one-time construction loan closes as well, where your client isn't necessarily paying two sets of closing costs at the construction loan close and modification. And we have a list of preferred lenders that can help as well, but there's, of course, a lot of lenders out there that offer construction loans. There's also lot loans or land loans as well. So let's say you have a client found the right lot, ready to put in an offer. I think the safe bet would to get a land loan, just a small loan on the land, just to secure that. In my experience, I didn't do a land loan, so it takes a little more finesse in that case, where you would need to, so I wrote an offer on the land, and it took about, it was like a 3-month process until we finally closed on the land. But in that 3 months, you need to have engineering plans, you need to have all your selections done, you need to have the home completed, you need to have lot development costs and numbers and estimates. So that also added a little bit too much stress and doubt of like, is this the right type of build? But it is possible. Like usually if you have a client that is like, this is the right lot and I want to move forward on it and don't want to lose it, we would suggest a small land loan first. From there, that gives us time to work numbers and dive in more to the process, finalize selections, any custom options that they may have. Then we can just start the construction loan process after that. For verbs, so in order to start the construction loan, lenders are gonna need a construction loan agreement. So construction loan agreement, like I mentioned earlier, you need to have all the numbers finalized. They need to know what exactly are they lending for, lot development costs and the home itself, the structure. With verbs, there's a minimum of a 5% down payment of that number. Not everyone has 20, 30, 50 grand to put down as a down payment. As earnest money down payment, so lenders can also finance some of that part. And usually, especially if there's land, equity in the land too, they can roll that in as part of that 5% down payment. At least for us, with our down payment, we're gonna require whatever the building permits costs are, we're gonna require that as an earnest money deposit, just in case if things fall through, we pay for permits already just to cover the cost of those permits. So searching for land, I'm sure just like searching for homes right now, land is tough to find. We're constantly looking for land. Of course, you guys can always put your clients on the search, and I always suggest to your clients be open-minded with the search too. So if they're looking strictly West Shore or CV schools, and maybe, by all means, look around. But if you're having trouble finding that, or if it's not the right fit, I encourage folks to maybe stretch that search a little bit more, because land is a little challenging right now, but there's definitely, we're constantly looking for land for us to like build a spot lot or a scatter lot too. So it's out there, especially in our region, as opposed to, we have our Berks County region where land is a little more scarce there. Just, so there's a lot of land developments and opportunities out here for, Zillow, MLS, Realtor.com, Realtor constantly, we're looking for land, sending me listings as well too, like, what do you think of this? What are your thoughts on this? What about utilities? And do you think this might be a good fit for me and my budget? I'm happy to help. I have a running list of lots that we would consider purchasing and building a spot lot on. So if that kind of falls in the criteria, I'll send that to folks, but ultimately I'm not, to be frank, ultimately that'd be your folks' job. right, to kind of guide them with making that decision. So I'll give my suggestions, but I won't, like Berks won't get involved with the decisions of purchasing the land. So with this type of build, I'll guide and help folks with that process of finding land. We won't ever say, yes, you should buy that, right? And ultimately, it's their decision to make that purchase themselves. Another thing to consider that, we always look into too is, contacting townships as well, to see if they have any lots, or a list of, they usually have a list of lots that are foreclosures, auctions, right, that may not be listed on the MLS. So we've also looked into that route for land. And of course, just talking to neighbors, networking, there's a lot of, you'd be surprised, there's a lot of folks that have just like neighbors, friends of friends that have heard that, oh, okay, actually, they're actually gonna sell off this lot, they're working on subdividing it, and that should be ready in the next few months or a year. So they kind of have something set up that obviously is not known to the public or is gonna be listed on the MLS. So if you folks or your clients know people, that's probably the best, or it can be the most opportune route to go for purchasing land. And if you folks have questions, like you said, just chime in, interrupt me. So what to ask from the landowner? If you see a listing, you wanna go and check it out, or your clients are wanna set something up or are strongly interested, I think they have a plot plan or any type of engineering plan, that's gonna be a huge help. Or even, if it's in a development, if there's a recorded plan there with property lines and easements, utilities, that will help your client make a decision, but also help us determine the house fit, which floor plans can fit, what utilities are involved, what's needed for that lot development cost, and we can somewhat work up estimates with that as well. So plot plan is a big one. If it's well and septic, if the septic system is needed, there's a perk test already done. On a lot of the MLS listings, if it's done, usually they'll have that list of documents.
Where could you search for, those results if there was an old one done and and it's not in the MLS?
I would call the listing agent personally, whether it's done or not. If not, you could also contact that township and the SEO.
Okay,
The SEO, they are the sewer enforcement officer. They're the ones that have to be there for the perk test. And they're the ones who write up the report and approve it, and that's the document that they generate. Okay, perk test will only last for 6 years. Another thing to consider, when is it dated? Usually, I mean, it depends on each lot in the township. Sometimes they can renew that, or it may not require another test, or it may not be as involved per se, but keep that in mind, 6 years per test will last. Is a lot staked out? Has a survey been done? I wouldn't say that's something like to make or break a decision on purchasing land, at least for us, because the survey is usually gonna be needed after that, before we start construction, but that's always helpful if they have a survey done that they can send you. Any restrictions, are there easements on the property? Asking for covenants and restrictions, if there's HOA docs, if there's minimum square footage requirements, or on the elevation, is there a masonry requirement or stone or all brick? All those things are helpful, but just making a decision on putting an offer on the land. Of course, utilities, public water, sewer, with those utilities, in the folders that I have, there's a flyer that has just a rough estimate on lot development costs. And it's gonna give a range on like sand mounds versus sewer laterals, well, and, you know, tapping into a well. That's gonna help a lot with the decision. With a lateral, so it's public water and sewer, it may be listed on there already. But is it tapped into the property? So this is, in my experience, this is one of the reasons I almost backed out on that line. So it is public water, but it wasn't on my road. So it was up on the main road, which was on Lingletown Road. It would have costed me about 50, 60 grand run it all the way down along my road, tear it all up, and then tap it into my property. So those things, townships, you could probably get that information from the township, or if the listing agent has it, that's good information to have, whether it's the lateral's already tapped into the property or not. And you know, oftentimes you'll be able to see that on the property as well. And if your clients are like strongly interested in a lot and would like us to come out and kind of help and get a lay of the land as well and work up some rough estimates on those costs, for us, we're very hesitant with just throwing out a number casually. In order for us to provide a number that we're confident in, an engineering plan is gonna help. An engineering plan and knowing what floor plan they're interested in, so it'll be a little more involved. But, we can always go out there, my, land project manager, Dallas, we're constantly meeting with folks and getting the lay of the land, noticing if there's transformers already on the lot, and if there's transformers, if there's sewer laterals, water laterals tapped in, if there's a perk test site already located there, where's a potential area to put in the driveway, or how many trees would need to be cleared, so we can just kind of get a lay of the land and come up with some rough numbers to help determine if it fits their budget. So with lot development costs, things to account for, and a lot of it is in that flyer, the driveway length. Driveways aren't cheap. And there's some folks, depending on their budget, will just go with a stone driveway if that's accepted by the township, and, or if not, we can also do the macadam driveway. Depending on the lot and the customer, some folks, especially if it's a lot, and the home is at the top of the hill, and that's the best views, and it makes sense, right? And you get, or if that's the location where there's a walkout basement, and that's a must, but there needs to be like a 50 or 100-foot driveway, that's gonna increase costs, like a lot development costs.
And not only that, Jason, like, if you disturb more than an acre, you're going from a MENA land to an empty,
Correct.
you're adding months and tens of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
What am I saying?
Yes.
So in this situation, you got a nice lot, you want the house way up there, gotta cut in a driveway. If your disturbance area is more than an acre, that's, you know, for the house, all the driveway, erosion and sediment. If your disturbance area is over an acre, you go from a standard ENS, which is erosion and sediment plan, which is not that expensive, you can get it pretty quickly, if any has transition to an NPDES. Engineering costs on that could be in the tens of thousands of dollars, it could take months to get.
Just for the plan,
Just for the plan.
just for the plan.
Transition
That's
in empties, and your empties first.
Yeah.
That's state or municipality.
Let's see. Yeah. So that's, like a DEP requirement. I was gonna get to that with stormwater plan, most townships are gonna require some type of stormwater plan depending on how much disturbance there is. Some don't, which also really shortens the process of being able to build. And it also saves the customer a lot of money as well. But most folks will need a stormwater plan, especially in our area, our state college region, they don't require that, lucky for them. But yes, like Mike said, if you're going over an acre of disturbance, oftentimes you will need an NPDES plan.
And can I say too, like on your community development, you have a scatter lot, maybe you're in a community, you don't assume all your utilities are out front.
Correct.
Like, you're not sure, do a one call, 811. I sold a house out in Colonial Park. They bought a corner lot, built a home there, and then they had natural gas in it.
Yeah,
Year later, they want to put a pool in, so they did another one call, turns out UGI ran their main through their backyard. They can't put a pool there now. Not without asking UGI to move their main out, how lucky do you think that's gonna be? Not gonna happen.
that's another thing to consider, like if your folks have, plans for a pool or a pole barn or any other projects, or maybe subdividing, like I'm working with someone now, he has 5 acres in York. He wants to subdivide later, years from now, for his kid to build another home. right? But it also wants a pool and a pole barn. That doesn't mean all of that needs to be done during construction, but as he's getting his stormwater plan or have the engineer account for all of those things ahead of time. It doesn't mean he has to pay for all of that to be done, but account for all the future plans from the start as well.
What determines the type of septic system that gets put in?
Grading, also the soils test, the perk test, that's gonna be a big factor.
That's where you need that SEO there, because they'll do your measurements
Correct.
and determine the soil composition, which will ultimately determine the type of system.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't get too involved with that, but, usually with the septic system, they'll need to have a septic design through the engineer. So once they have a perk test, so if it's raw land, that's step one for them. Once they own the land, getting a perk test. And usually with the perk test, some townships may require 2 sites to be done. A primary site, if that fails, then a backup secondary site. Every township's different. But that's gonna be the start from there. Yeah. Sand mounds, it's in the flyer. Sand mounds are probably the most costly. That can range from 30 to 35,000. But there's all different types of septic systems.
Thank you.
And on average, they last for about 60 to 70 years on average. Yeah.
Okay.
Stormwater plans, they can range a few thousand, sometimes more, 7, 8, 9,000. An NPDS plan can be 10 to 15, maybe more. And some NPDS plans can take 6 months to a year, sometimes longer. We finally are under contract with someone, I wrote a contract on June. They met with Burks 2 years ago. Not to discourage folks, but they got the land. They got a great deal for the land, but it involved a lot. It involves a lot. So their lot development costs are a little higher, but it was a lot of patience on their end. Yeah. A lot of waiting, so.
Are all your, are all of Burke's community representatives, Burke's employees, or do you use outside realtors for representation?
Now we're all Burke's employees. Yeah. In the past, when we first started and we're growing more, especially in our region, we'd have outside realtors, but now we're all full-time employees. At one point, when I first started 8 years ago, we hung our license with Caldwell. Like back at the Harrisburg office in Camp Hill. And then we switched our license to a builder owner salesperson license. And then now Burke's opened up their own brokerage. But we're fully Burke's own house. Yeah. Lot clearing trees. I wouldn't say it's just cutting down trees, it's removing the stumps too. So, if your client can remove the trees themselves or they know a guy, make sure they're pulling out the stumps as well. We've had folks that just cut down the trees and it's actually doing them a disservice because removing the stumps from that is just so much more work and money. Lot balance with soil, right? Depending on grading, do we have to bring in more soil? That's gonna add to the lot cost. Do we have to haul away and store soil somewhere else? Hopefully there's one of our communities nearby that we can do that. That's gonna add costs. So there's a lot of factors with lot development costs. This is the not so fun part of the process. This is the fun part, the home, right? So, on our website, you'll see that we have more than 20 different floor plans. I mean, there's a lot more than that, but you'll see 2 different lineups of homes, our innovation series and our hometown series. Our innovation series, there's about, I think, 13 different floor plans on there, ranch, first floor owners, first floor living, and 2-story homes, all bedrooms up. This is gonna be our more cost-effective lineup of homes, meaning, there's not gonna be all of these upgrades included in the base price, so customers will have, I guess, more control of their price point and budget. Not everyone wants all the fancy bells and whistles, right? If you have a tight budget that they need to stay under, we usually advise folks with the innovation series. And then with our hometown series, there's gonna be more options already included in the base price. So things like vinyl plank flooring, granite countertops, 9-foot ceilings are gonna be the standard there. Dual zone heating and cooling, that's a big one. So it really, when I'm meeting with folks, we'll do a virtual appointment or in person. I'm kind of gathering information on what's important to them in a home, what are must-haves, what's their budget. And then from there, we have this great system called Oscar, where we'd be able to build the home on paper. So all the big structural options, finishing the basement, fireplaces, morning rooms, we'd be able to pick and choose and build the home on paper. We can also send them a link for them to go home and play around with it, depending on what their budget is. And then there's our selection gallery. So once they kind of finalize their structural options, or if there's some custom options that they want and we can price out, then we'll schedule their selection gallery appointment. And that's where they're choosing cabinets, flooring, countertops, exteriors, every color and detail inside and out. So those are the two big things we'll need to finalize numbers, structural options, and then the selection gallery, in order to write the construction agreement. For some folks, just to, depending if they want to speed up the process more, and if they want to have their own construction prints that they can start getting for permits and quotes and, or if they have a lot of custom options there, we'll write a pre-construction agreement. It's about a $2,000 deposit. It's non-refundable, but this way we'll start the drafting process earlier. That's about 2 to 3 weeks in the process there. And they would have the rights to those construction prints as well. Not everyone will do that, but for folks who are oftentimes, I mean, not every customer takes 2 years to the writing the contract, but for folks who are really anxious to like, let's get under contract, let's lock this in, we want to get started, we want to be in by next year, we'll write a lot of pre-construction agreements as well. So timeframe, sample timeframe. So the first few months, I would say that's kind of the average for folks who are ready. I often tell folks, I'll work as quickly and as responsive as possible as they want me to. There's some folks who are kind of just testing things out and just like exploring this option and may not be ready to pull the trigger on a lot yet and putting in an offer, or paying for an engineering plan or a stormwater plan, and they're just kind of gathering information, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But folks who are like, we want to start by this time so we can be in by the school year. Right? On average, that can take 2 to 4 months. 2 to 4 months, especially if a stormwater plan is needed. So kind of what I mentioned of like finding land, if they own land already, great. That's the first step, right? Whether perk tests or, septic designs need to be done by an engineer, is there a plot plan that needs to be done, or do you already have one? The stormwater plan, is that needed? That process can take a month or 2, sometimes more. If it's NPDS that's needed, that can be 6 to 12 months. But that's also pricing out the home with me, getting custom options, going to the selection gallery. And then we're writing a construction agreement. Okay, that's when we're sending everything to the lender. They're starting the construction loan. Construction, once we put a shovel in the ground, 4 to 6 months. Depending on the lot, yeah. If it's, if trees need to be cleared, if it's a septic system and well, let's say more, the 6 month side. If it's public utilities, public water sewer, maybe 4 to 5 months.
Are you seeing that now even with the materials constraint?
I would say that's still like we run, even in our communities, it takes us about 90 to 100 days. But all the utilities are there. It makes it, all we have to do is start digging, right? Once we get approvals and permits. I think what we're experiencing now is a shortage on entrepreneurs. Framers. Yeah. And that's kind of, I wouldn't say company wide, that's in some of our communities here. So we're starting to add more framers for a lineup of, trade partners that we work with. But our framers are, some of them have been with us for 53 years since the start, and all Amish framers, it's impressive to see them during the home. Usually 3-4 days, there's a roof up already. Yeah, it's wild. But I mean, nowhere near like shortage of products and stuff and materials, nowhere near like COVID. That was rough. 2020, yeah. It seems like there was always something on back order. So.
So how survivable are your plans?
So in our communities, by all means, we're a production home builder. We're not a custom home builder, you know, so if folks say, you know, could you open up this wall? Could you slide the bathroom here? Could you move, you know, could you totally rearrange the floor plan? In our communities, we're gonna be consistent, so that all of our communities will be consistent for this floor plan standard. But with this type of build, yeah, we're more of a custom home builder. With this type of build, like, there's folks that will come to us and say, hey, we have a custom plan that we've drawn up. We'll be open to that, by all means, I'll tell them, send it to us, by all means, but we have over 200 plans that we built over the years, so we want to find that plan that's the most similar and work with that to make it what they have envisioned. Yeah. So, to be completely honest with us, we're gonna be a lot cheaper than other builders. And which is why a lot of folks go with us, even in our communities.
Why?
I think just how we refined our process over the years, and I mean, just the efficiency with every nail and screw accounted for. If you just go on our website, right, especially a lot of communities out here, when there's Garment, Landmark, Keystone, we're just maybe 5 or 6 builders. We're often gonna be a lot cheaper. With us, I'd say, again, we're not a custom home builder, we're definitely not priced anywhere near like a custom home builder. So with that, I mean, we built $1 million homes with this type of build. But we often build a very efficient, cost-effective home, but one thing that is always our main focus is our structural integrity of our homes. And even as a homeowner, I can attest to that. So, you know, at each stage of construction, there's gonna be, you know, building code requirements and inspections at each stage of that. Berks has we have our own quality control department, where we're going and inspecting every home that we're building. And our superintendents are being evaluated on their construction.
Do you allow, like independent free drywall inspections?
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely. Communities,
I've heard some people kind of talking at it and like, oh, well, I don't need you folks in construction or doing this or doing that, or, you know, but then you have an independent inspector going through there, and then you see a 2x4 that has termite holes through it.
Yeah.
Or there wasn't fire block, like there's just all sorts of stuff that just, screwy.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, if folks wanna pay for their home inspection, by all means, yeah, they have the right to do so, yeah. And there's gonna be a pre-drywall walkthrough for every customer as well. Whether it's in our communities or with this, on your land as well, so that's a good opportunity for them to like walk through the home and see the bones and. I usually tell folks, take pictures and videos of every room and every wall before we put up walls, so you know what's inside. It's also, we try to make it fun as well, bring a Sharpie, sign their names, and take photos and all that. Good question.
Also, I love that I've probably met with 15 to 16 builders this year.
Okay.
And I had a very well-known builder tell me they ballpark, our stormwater at right around $80,000.
Okay.
On about an acre of land. And, Yeah, that was a tough one to swallow.
Mhm.
Like, pretty sure that's not right.
That is pretty high, although I have friends that build, with another builder. And they're a great builder. And their stormwater, it was like 70,000, but it was the land. It was, yeah, it was like going up hills, like on a mountain, and I mean, sometimes that's outside of the builder's control, but.
We showed her pictures, stormwater was already done.
Oh, okay.
And so we kind of could tell that she wasn't, really know what was going on, and she just mentioned it. It's like, yeah, looking at it, her stormwater is probably about 80. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and so that's one of the, like, some builders will just throw out a number, right?
Right.
We're always hesitant to just casually throw out a number when we're there. And folks wanna hear a number so that they can go on and make decisions elsewhere, right? Like, okay, well, let's go to selections, let's, you know, they're anxious to get under contract and start the process. But if that number changes drastically and just throws everything else off with the decisions they made with the home, like, that's the last thing we want.
Yeah.
Alright, and even, so that's why we say, if you have a stormwater plan, which can take some time, but showing that the home is there and what's needed for a stormwater, and it's not 80,000, it may be 10 to 15,000, right? Then we can provide more accurate numbers. But it takes a while, right? We don't wanna throw out a number that day casually and find out later it's 50,000 higher. Yeah.
Right.
And at that point, we're like ready to write a contract and, you know, and that just, it's devastating and we spent 6 months, the whole process on this. But even with the estimates we provide, we wanna factor it higher and be pleasantly surprised at the end.
Right.
So even if, let's say, we call it exhibit C, the lot related costs are, let's say exhibit C is about 100 grand. And that's gonna be bids from, you know, that's gonna be numbers from excavators and contractors. At the end of the build, everything gets itemized and broken down with the invoices, and let's say it was actually only 70 grand. Then that 30,000 difference, either we're cutting a check back to the customer, to the homeowner, or they could roll that in, and lower the loan amount. Depends, everyone's different, but that's always smart things to do, yeah. Right. That's the most folks go with. Services that we do, you know, so selection gallery, drafting, permitting, we'll take care of all those things. I was telling Mike earlier, like, I'll get pretty, I wouldn't say hands-on, but I'll guide folks a lot with the process in the sense of like helping them contact the township engineers, like, but ultimately those things are the customer's decisions to make. I can't tell, like, they have to cut the check. They have to say yes, they have to sign the agreements, right? So I'll help as much as I can, but it's their land that they're bringing to us to build. We'll take care of the home. Any other questions?
What's, a recommended, like, you probably shouldn't go below 2 gallons a minute as far as what the well's providing? Or I have no idea, I'm just asking, is there a recommended, you wanna have this many gallons per minute, roughly?
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I have no idea, I got the question
I
recently.
don't know what my home is, to be honest. I don't wanna just actually throw out a number.
That's no problem, thank you.
Yeah.
I think they get into quality, not just volume.
Okay,
Because a pit water is a good water, it's a, you know, out part, typically 300 feet. Right, is where they'll go.
Mhm.
You start paying more for that, you're getting serious costs. Drilling,
okay,
you're looking up where you live, you know, Prairie County area, you know, hills and valleys, there's rock. I'm up in Fishing Creek, I'm almost artesian well. I mean, it's pumping itself.
okay.
So, I mean, you get all kinds of where you're.
So if you, the further down you go, I'm guessing it starts to get very expensive to drill, then, is what
I
you're
think
saying.
And also,
what we,
what you gotta drill through, how much you
Some-
gotta
yeah.
drill through. I was always told about 5 gallons,
Okay,
or is where you, like, wanna get above that.
yeah, Quality, the quality of the water too, but a lot of it is gonna be the speed and the amount of quantity of it. So if
Okay.
you're not getting enough, like, that's just more.
Okay,
But I think what we budget in there for, the well, just to tap down, like, I think that's at least 300 feet.
okay,
We'll account for, but if we're hitting a good speed at like 100, 200 feet. And the customers are good with that, then we'll stop there and then install the well,
What if the well was just done and like the electrics already done, can they just build the house?
We can, good question, we wanna know, like. When the well was installed.
What if it was a few months ago?
Oh, then.
We have all, I'm thinking about using the guys, we just got land and we just got the well drilled and got the electric and
Is it septic system?
we haven't gotten the septic, it's gonna be the most expensive part,
Okay, so there's no septic system,
not yet.
okay. Then that, I mean, I think that should be fine, depending on what size home. A septic system is, if there's already a septic system on the property, that's the big one to account for. So let's say a home was there, or a home is gonna be demolished, but that's a 3-bedroom home. Septic systems are built based off of bedrooms, ironically, and not bathrooms. So let's say if there was a 3-bedroom home there, and that septic system is still there, it's still fine, it's fairly newer, you can't build a 4-bedroom home or a 5-bedroom home and use that same system. We have to get a larger system to account for that. And I don't know.
and they
why
don't
it's-
care the number of people that are gonna live there.
And they don't care if it's
It
3
could have been
bedrooms,
two
but
bedrooms,
6 bathrooms.
One bath, it could have been a 1 bath, but you're gonna put a 2.5 bath, 3-bedroom, you're fine.
It's always bedrooms.
So.
Okay,
You would
because of
think
the
it's
potential
bathroom.
So
usage.
weird.
You would think it's bathrooms, but I guess with bedrooms, it kind of accounts for how many people are living there. Although a 4-bedroom home can have 1 person and a 3-bedroom can have 8,
Yeah.
but they always base it off of bedrooms, so that's the big thing. But I think you should be fine with it well.
Okay.
But I would say, like, if you or clients are just, okay, we're looking at this lot, or we have land, and we're not quite sure, like, what the budget would be, we can set up a time for, I'll have Dallas, my land project manager, he's the expert on that. So we'll go out and just kind of take some notes, again, if you have some kind of engineering plan or any information, that's gonna help us with that. And then the home stuff, I can review floor plans and send you the link to Oscar, that's the fun part.
So somebody wants to live, wants to come to this guy lodge or
Mhm.
sewer and water in the street. At what point do they contract with you to do design, like, when do they actually have to sign something and pay you something for the process?
So they already own the land, you said? Okay. I would say once we finalize all of their structural options, right, if there's any custom options too, so that's in that Oscar computer system that I can send a link to. And once they kind of have a good idea, okay, this is the floor plan we want to move forward, these are the options that we want, we can still change some options, but this is kind of the number we're working with. Then we'll schedule them for selection. Usually, before scheduling for selections, we want to come up, I'll have Dallas work on the exhibit C, so the lot related costs in that flyer. So we can work up some estimates there. And then if those 2 numbers, what your home is and the structural options, the bigger ticket options and exhibit C is, if that still works with your number, then we'll schedule selections. We can do it sooner, but with selections, it's pretty involved, and at that point, you're really getting excited, right? So we don't want you to go to selections and then find out, oh, our lot costs are 150 grand, we thought it was gonna be 80. Right, so we'd rather get those bigger numbers to you. With that exhibit C, the lot costs, that can take a while, we can give you rough estimates, I'd say rough estimates, but a little more accurate estimates would be needed with a stormwater plan. Or an engineering plan, if there's no stormwater needed, required by that township, then just some kind of engineered plot plan with the home sitting on it, and where you want it to sit, and how long the driveway is. And if there's a well or septic or perk test, like where all of that is located on that engineering plan, which that can take a few months. As for that process can take a little longer, is the engineering side. But if you're in a township that doesn't require stormwater, that can, brush contract last month, they're in Warren Township in Wellsville. There was a couple months now, we wrote a contract. But again, like, we can, waiting for the engineering plan, like, that's what ideally we prefer, so we can provide more accurate numbers. But I have folks going to selection soon, and we gave them rough estimates, and I think they're okay with doing like an exhibit C, like excavation costs. Like maybe those rough numbers and adding another 20 grand to it, just in case, right? In order to lock in a contract and lock in the pricing. And then again, at the end of construction, let's say they didn't need that extra 20 grand and it's much less, then they're getting the money back. So it's not a hard set rule, like, okay, we need your exhibit C done in order to go to selections. Everyone's different, so we're willing to work with folks, but we're always gonna be upfront with numbers. And we'd rather provide the scary numbers upfront and estimate higher and be pleasantly surprised than be shocked at the end. Yeah.
Were you saying the consultation to like talk to you either in person or, to meet at the land and then kind of give an estimate of the numbers was 2,000?
Oh, no, that's free.
Oh, it's
Like,
free.
we'll be with you. If folks want to write, if they wanna start the process, or if someone has like a ton of custom options, right? And we have to like, we have our floor plan, but we have to expand this and, or they're totally redesigning the elevation, the front elevation of the home. We'll write up a pre-construction agreement, just so drafting can start their prints. Drafting can start their construction prints, which they would have the rights to. It's not required for every single home, and it's more optional, but it's about $2,000, of course, that would go, towards, the contract, towards the purchase of the home, but, let's say if it wasn't the right fit, or they choose not to build on their land, it is non-refundable, but they have the rights to those prints.
One more question, sorry. And then, for like the septic and stuff, not even for the well, I guess for the septic. If we found someone that could do it for less, is that something, I'm sure they can't, it's very expensive, but, or even like the well, we found like a really good, like, company do the well, cause it was like, it was like a lot less to get it done. So, for example, we wanna build up top as well, but we got the well built at the bottom.
Okay.
But we wanna build another place up top, so when it comes time to get that well done, if it's less expensive than how much your company, does your company do the well, or do you guys?
It's all of our trade partners, so all of our trade partners, so we don't have in-house plumbers and electricians that we pay that are on our payroll. So a lot of them are trade partners that we have, insurance and contracts, and they're on our list, and we have to do like background check, everything. But it's all of our trade partners that will give us quotes for all that work. But that's a good question. If, you have someone else
Yeah,
that can do the tree clearing or your own excavator, and that'd be saving money instead of
yeah,
using one of ours, that's fine.
okay.
Cool. Yeah. We'll just, it depends on what it is, and we'll just have to coordinate
Mhm.
when that time comes. It's just gonna take a lot more coordination and communication but, little things like a septic permit,
Mhm.
well permits, those would be the landowner's responsibility. We can help, we'll draft up the permit and fill out the forms.
Yeah.
And then send it to you, you're the ones who are gonna have to sign, drop it off, give the check, those types of things. Cool. Yeah. Good question.
Do you guys have spectrums that we could take clients through?
Absolutely.
Listed on the
Depending on the-
website?
Tell us more.
Yeah, that's the fun part, but
Tell us more.
we have models, so if you look on our website and say, like, oh, this Beacon Point or the Blue Ridge, do you have any built, like, we'll sometimes have we'll have a model home. Or if not, if we don't have a model home of that floor plan, we'll send out an email or text other sales reps and say, oh, do you have one built? It may be in our State College region or in Berks County, but we'll find one. If not, like, recently, there's one floor plan that no one had under construction. So I contacted one of my homeowners and they opened it up for us. And like, we'll give them a gift card, the homeowner.
Nice.
Yeah. Questions?
Last question.
Yeah? Yeah.
So sorry. Are the prices of the homes, the model homes or just like the example homes, are they listed on the website if we like find one and we're like,
So
just to kind of have
let
an
me,
idea?
if you guys have a business card and you're interested, I can send you an email, like just an introductory email. There's a link on there that has the base prices on there, cause that is updated.
Yeah,
And then you'll see, like, you gotta click on, and I'll put it in the email, like, click on our South Central region. There's Central, which is State College, we're South Central, and then Southeast is all Berks County, But our South Central region, and you choose Innovation or Hometown Series.
okay.
Yeah, and then it'll give you the base price. And then that'll have a lot of the information, and we can figure out a time to do like a virtual appointment, and then we can dive into that and price it out.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Guys.
Thank you. Great
Before-
question.
before we leave, yes, round of applause for Jason. I want to thank Jason for coming in and mention that he did bring in some goodies from Panera back there. So please help yourselves with bagels. I put the toaster out, and Philo's mom made cake for us.
Oh,
Because she keeps us well fed. So there's also some cake back there too. So feel free, help yourself, grab a cup of coffee before you guys go, and don't forget to fill out the, feedback survey. Please, please, please. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And you missed the meeting today?